Title: The Echo of the Past. The Abandoned House. Claire Marshall had always had a quiet life in the city of Denver. She had a stable job as an architect and lived in a small apartment near the center. However, there was something that had always worried her. Her grandmother's house, located on the outskirts of the city. The house had been empty for years, after the death from his grandmother, and Claire had always avoided going back there. One day, he received a letter that changed everything. It was from a lawyer, notifying him that he had inherited his grandmother's property. After thinking, Arlo, after days, decided that he had to face his fear and return to the house, although he didn't know what he would find. Forgotten memories. The house was in a deplorable state. The garden, which before it had been beautiful, now it was overgrown with weeds. The exterior walls of the house, once white, were now dirty and worn by the passage of time. Claire walked slowly towards the trotta, feeling how the weight of nostalgia enveloped her. Opening the door, the fresh air from inside welcomed her, but the smell of old wood and dust made her cough. Each corner of the sea, it seemed to tell a story, but there was something strange in the atmosphere. The rooms, although empty, seemed full of invisible presences. While touring the house, Claire stopped at the main hall. It was the same room where she used to sit with her grandmother to drink tea when she was a child. The fireplace was covered in ashes, but what caught her attention most was the old clock. I stood, still functioning. But it couldn't be. How could it still be functioning after so long? Suddenly he heard a whisper, as if someone were speaking in a room. Close. Claire stopped, her heart racing. Was she imagining things? She decided to investigate, but upon arriving at the room, she found nothing. The enigma of the clock. That night, Claire could not sleep. She lay down on her grandmother's bed, but restlessness didn't leave her in peace. The grandfather clock kept ticking, louder and louder, as if it wanted to tell her something. Waking up in the middle of the night, the air clearly heard a voice, this time closer, as if it were right next to her. She got out of bed, determined to find out what was happening. Entering the living room, she saw that the clock, the pie, had stopped. Suddenly, the voice whispered again, and this time Claire understood what it said. Don't forget what I promised you. Claire was paralyzed. What promise? And why her grandmother, that had died years ago, was talking to her through the clock? Something wasn't right. She was trapped in a mystery that she had to solve. The secret of the past. The next day, Claire began to investigate further. He found an old box in the attic, covered in dust and cobwebs. Upon opening it, he found a series of letters and photographs. As he reviewed them, one in particular caught your attention. It was a photo of his grandmother, much younger, accompanied by a man Claire did not recognize. On the back of the photo, there was a note written in a handwriting that Claire recognized. I said that I would wait for you, even if I had to do it beyond death. Intrigued, Claire began to investigate the man in the photo. She discovered that he was a former love of her grandmother, Ella, someone with whom she had had a secret relationship before marrying her grandfather. However, something tragic happened. The man disappeared mysteriously and was never heard from again. Claire felt that the grandfather clock and his grandmother's words had to do with this missing man. He decided to return to the place where his grandmother had met her lover, an old abandoned train station, which was now closed and forgotten. The revelation. When Claire arrived at the train station, the air was cold and the feeling of abandonment was palpable. While she walked along the platform, she felt the strange presence, as if someone were watching her. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of her. It was a man, dressed in clothes from another era, who looked at her fixedly. Who are you? Is that you? Claire asked, her voice trembling. The man smiled but didn't say a word. Claire took a step toward him, and when the moonlight illuminated his face, she recognized the man in the photo. It was him, the master. He lost his grandmother. The man raised a hand, pointing towards the train that had just arrived at the station. It's time for the truth to come, Lighthead said softly. She never told you, but I will tell you now. With a sigh, the man began to tell his story. The secret relationship with Claire's grandmother, her disappearance, and the promise he had made to her before leaving, that, someday, somehow, he would return so that she could find the truth. The last goodbye. Claire returned to her grandmother's house with her heart full of unanswered questions. The clock of the pie had stopped ringing, but she knew that the connection with the past had never gone away. The man, who seemed like a shadow from the past, had given her the answers she needed. Now Claire understood that his grandmother had been waiting her whole life for a love that never returned. The next day, Claire made a decision. She decided to sell the house, but not before doing something important. To the principal, next to the grandfather clock, she placed a letter, a farewell letter for her grandmother and for the man of the past, a closure that finally gave them peace. Leaving the house for the last time, Claire felt that, in spite of everything, she had found the answer she had been searching for. Her grandmother had lived a life full of secrets, but now, those secrets had finally come to light. End.